Good morning. It's Saturday, August 15th, and we're going to continue our discussion on action and pragmatism with a prompt from the Daily Stoic, which reads, will decisions I make today be based on true judgments? So today's meditation is entitled The Supreme Court of Your Mind, and I think it presents an appropriate metaphor for us to explore here. In a court of law, we want fair and balanced presentation of evidence so that a just ruling can be reached upon conclusion. To achieve this, we need a court that is responsive rather than reactive, which is a distinction that we've discussed here before. The system is designed to allow for space between stimulus and response. Without it, there would be a tendency to make improper, rash decisions. The same logic applies to our thought processes. In his moral letters, Seneca notes the importance of true and steadfast judgment. For from this will arise every mental impulse, and by it, every appearance that spurs our impulses will be rendered clear. As I read that line, I'm called back to some thoughts that I had last night before I went to bed as I was scrolling through some postings on my Facebook news feed. Now, admittedly, the online world is much more conducive to reactionary behavior than balanced responsiveness, but that shouldn't excuse us from exercising rational thought. The issue that I'm referring to was the senseless and brutal murder of an innocent 5-year-old boy, Cannon Hinnant, last weekend in North Carolina. What happened was an absolute tragedy. There is literally nothing that I can imagine worse as a parent than what happened to that little boy, and my heart aches for him and his family. Unfortunately, much of the response that I saw online was less reflective of empathy and more tightly linked to whataboutism. You see, Cannon Hinnant, a white boy, was killed by an African American man. With the murder of George Floyd and the surrounding events still so fresh in everyone's memory, I've seen an outcry for action, a demand to know where our protests are. While no one is debating the heinous nature of this unimaginable crime, we shouldn't be so quick to make associations and draw conclusions that simply aren't supported. From everything that I've read, the police have listed no motive behind the crime yet. There is nothing to suggest that anything was racially motivated. Despite that, some people have been quick to fuel the racial narrative, noting that the victim was white and the accused killer was black. This doesn't appear to be a racist issue, not at least until we made it one. Further, those demands for equitable civic response improperly conflate the two separate issues here. One was ultimately a public outrage at police brutality and systemic racism. The other was an isolated and horrific homicide. They're both terrible in their own right. But applying the same logic to both misses the point. We can grieve for both. We can feel outrage for both. We can cite a list of demands for both if we want. But all of that should follow after true and steadfast judgment, just as Seneca advised. The immediate reactive nature of whataboutism is a dangerous thing. It's self-serving and divisive. It doesn't have to be zero-sum here. There is room to hear multiple stories, form independent conclusions, and still provide support and empathy on more than one front. Hope everyone has a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye.